And for a closer look at the smartphone market, I'm now joined by Roger Cheng, Executive Editor at CNET News. Roger, great to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Roger, let's start off with iPhone. What do you make of Google and Apple not being there?
Yeah, this is very normal for Apple and Google. For the big shows like CES and IFA, Apple and Google tend to do their own thing. They tend to avoid these. They prefer to have their own events where they can control the news cycle and basically make sure the spotlight is on their single product.
All right, but there are dozens, hundreds of exhibitors there. It
Absolutely.
is a very big deal. From what you're hearing, what is the most innovative thing to come out of Berlin?
You know, the Samsung, I think, had a really big showing. The Gear S2, it's their first smartwatch in a while. It's actually a smartwatch that looks like a watch. So to me, I was actually pretty impressed with it. It was a big change.
What's the big deal?
Again, it uses this very intuitive, diverse type dial on the watch. The control scheme, it seems like, again, it looks like a real watch. And to me, that's a big deal for some of these electronics. I think a lot of these companies forget that these wearable devices they're fashion pieces, exactly.
All right, but smartwatch has been there, done that. Anything innovative, any game changes?
Well, you know, the whole idea of Internet of Things, this is the idea that all these products are talking to each other, they're all connected to the internet, was a big theme at IFA. Samsung had also unveiled a couple of smart products. There's a sensor that you can put under your bed that can detect your sleep. And that actually is kind of cool because it can connect to different appliances like your air conditioner
Roger,
or your TV.
I don't get it. What do I need to know what's happening while I'm sleeping? I'm a very good sleeper. I go to bed, I wake up. What the heck do I need to know what happened in between?
Well, if you're a good sleeper, then you're probably fine. But for folks who, like me, I have trouble sleeping all the time. Sometimes it gets too hot. The sensor will actually know and tell the air conditioner to, you know, shoot out some cold air so you're a little bit more comfortable. It's the idea that these devices can talk to each other and make your life a little bit better.
Other than telling my AC to kick it into high gear, what else does the Samsung sleep device do?
You know, it monitors your sleeping pattern, so it actually can detect the best time to wake you up. If you're in a deep sleep, it's probably not the best time. It syncs up with your alarm. It's never a really good time, but it syncs up so it detects the best optimal time.
Any game changes, anything that we haven't seen before, what's the next frontier?
Well, I think this is part of the problem is there are tons of smartphones being unveiled. Not a lot of it's all that impressive. Like, sure, every phone has got a little bit bigger, the camera's a little bit better, the display's a little bit sharper, but it's taking a lot more for people to be impressed with these things.
Speaking of smartphones, Apple and Samsung dominating the field. Huawei certainly catching up. You know, 7 out of 10 of the world's top 10 smartphones are made in China, Chinese brands, and Huawei wants to really be recognized on the higher end of things. Yeah. And it's coming out with the Mate S, is that correct? How is that being viewed?
So the Mate S is actually a pretty interesting phone. It has the same kind of pressure-sensitive technology that we all believe that the next iPhone is going to have. So to demonstrate that, they actually weighed, they put an orange on top of the phone, and it actually could weigh and show the weight of the orange.
What is this?
The idea that if you hold down the screen harder, it'll actually do different things as opposed to like a light tap. So it's sort of supposed to be the marquee feature of the next iPhone, and Huawei came out and just talked about it, you know, several days ahead of time. Well,
as you say, Apple does unveil the next iPhone, supposedly the iPhone 6S. What are your expectations there?
You know what? That's part of the problem. I think it goes back to my idea of this phone fatigue that we're having. There are not a lot of big innovations coming in. I think that's going to be the same thing with Apple. I mean, they're going to show off a new phone. It's going to be slightly better, slightly faster. I don't think it's going to look any different. And I think that's part of the problem.
So we've peaked?
We might have peaked a little bit. I don't know. It depends on whether or not they can pull out different innovations. But right now, in terms of anything that will wow people, we've kind of peaked.
We've peaked in terms of the wow factor with phones. So is it back to watches then?
It's watches, it's these smart beds, it's smart appliances, it's smart everything at this point.
Well, one of the issues is that we're seeing global smartphone sales, the growth rate dropping a little bit. China, of course, the world's biggest smartphone market, but it accounts for 30% of global sales. Last quarter, unit sales fell 4%.
Yep.
What's happening?
I mean, I think that's a concern. The economy in China is not doing great. The demand is slowing down. Demand everywhere is really slowing down. And I think it goes back to that phone fatigue. They don't feel like they necessarily need to upgrade to that latest and greatest device anymore because the device they have is good enough.
So what does this mean for the Apples and the Samsungs and the Huaweis of the world?
It means they've got to try harder. I mean, they've got to try harder to impress people. But right now, they're just not cutting it.
So let's talk a little bit more about this pressure recognition thing. Explain more.
It's the idea that, again, the more pressure you apply to the screen, the different functionalities will come through.
So less butt dials, if you will, likely? Less purse dials, in my case?
It's more like if you really quickly tap it, you'll like hit the button. If you hold down, you'll be able to like open up a menu. Like you'll have different functions depending on how hard you push that screen.
All right. Well, hopefully something more innovative is going to come on the way. But thank you for your insight, Roger Cheng, Executive Editor at CNET News.